Hello, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates, and I am continuing my study of respect. I think I have some comments this week that apply to codependents and their need to assert themselves and gain respect. It's called "You Have to Fight for Respect." So I'm wearing my old man beard that I've grown. I tell people I'm trying to look like a sea captain, so I don't know if I'm achieving that or not. So I'm going to do something different with this video, and that is I'm just going to read my blog from this week. Normally I get on a subject and I can just sort of riff off of it, and I really don't need to look at my notes much. But this week I just wrote some specific things that I think it'll be better if it's read, and I'm sorry if there'll be some eye contact issues, but let me give it a go here. So you have to fight for respect. I think that in our culture there tends to be some misconceptions about the nature of respect. Respect is seen as some sort of invisible, majestic crown that is kindly placed on the heads of dignified, graceful, elderly dignitaries. And when I thought of that category of sort of an elderly dignitary, of course, the name Nelson Mandela came to mind. The guy just exudes integrity and respect for him. And the truth is that in this world you have to fight to get respect. And you only get crowned with respect after you win the fight. Nelson Mandela, as I looked on the list of the world's most respected people, shortly before his death, he was number one on the list of everyone in the world, number one most respected man. As an older man, he seemed to literally exude and just shine leadership, integrity, goodness, gentleness, kindness, spirituality from his very nature. But this very gentle, spiritual man was not always so gentle. Wikipedia described him as a South African anti-apartheid revolutionary, politician, and philanthropist. His government focused on dismantling the legacy of apartheid through tackling institutionalized racism, poverty, inequality, and fostering racial integration and reconciliation. Although initially committed to nonviolent protest, he did co-found a militant group in 1961, leading a sabotage campaign against the apartheid government. In 1962, he was arrested, convicted of conspiracy to overthrow the state, and was sentenced to a life in prison. Nelson Mandela served 27 years in prison, but this gentle, saintly-looking fellow was a fighting man. Look at the words that my description from Wikipedia used to describe Nelson Mandela: revolutionary, dismantler, tackler, militant, sabotager, overthrower of the state, and prisoner. It doesn't sound like a gentle fellow. He was a man of action, a man of passion, a man of confrontation, a man of war, a man of controversy, a man of causing much needed change, and reluctantly sometimes even a man of violence. He's revered and respected precisely because he fought so hard and he sacrificed so much for the cause of racial equality in his country and around the world. How does this little history lesson apply to you? Well, any place in your life that you're being disrespected, let me tell you what, people aren't going to just start respecting you because you're nice to them. You are going to have to recognize that you're being disrespected, and you're going to have to gain a powerful, non-reactive voice. Now, if you get reactive, you might be powerful, but you're going to actually probably lose more respect than what you gain. If your husband, your wife, your kids, your pets, even your family of origin, your in-laws, or your employees do not respect you, then you got three choices. You can get walked on, or you can run away, or you can fight. If you wait for your arrogant, know-it-all, controlling, self-absorbed husband to kindly place that majestic crown of respect on your head that you feel you deserve for all your sacrifice and hard work, you're going to have to wait a long time. It ain't going to happen unless you make it happen. If you're going to be respected by such a man, you need to get some fire in your belly. You need to set some boundaries that have some teeth, some painful consequences. You need to paint Braveheart paint on your face, and you need to go to war. Bullies need punched in their nose before they're ever going to stop bullying. Now, I don't mean go home and physically punch your husband. I hope everybody knows that. I do not mean bitterly fighting in court with your lawyer doing the damage for you. I mean to assertively call a spade, to have your anger be bigger than your fear, and to grab that extra power as he held it away from you, to grab it out of his cold, dead fingers. Again, just using a metaphor, but he can't give you the power. You've got to take it. Back in the 1960s, in the civil rights movement, it took courage for a young woman, Miss Parks, Rosa Parks, to sit on the back of that bus in defiance, and to have young people sitting at the counters of all-white diners in defiance. You know, that's a fighting spirit. If I had $1 for every passive, codependent woman who asked me, how can I get my husband to listen to me? I'd have me a really sweet mansion on the beach. But there are no how-tos. If you want to be heard, you have to first be respected. And if you're going to be respected, you have to fight the good fight. As children, codependents sort of have the fight snuffed out of them by controlling parents, critical parents, where you don't even think to question them because they had all the power. And then you instinctively marry a controlling, obnoxious fellow, and you married him in order to incite yourself to eventually get your anger unsnuffed. You know, that's why you married the guy, is to incite your anger, to work through your unresolved issues from your childhood. So at your core, there's a strong, genuine sense of self, and you'll need to command that sense of self to come out if you're going to win and earn the respect that you require. This anger at your belly, this fire in your belly, I call it deep process anger. And it'll put backbone in your spine. You know, it'll put steel in your spine. The energy at your core will give you the fire and the courage you need to assert yourself when you need to be heard. You know, I'll be working with a couple, and this codependent gal has been saying stuff to this fella for 20 years, and he comes in and he's generally anti-therapy and unteachable, but I tend to do well with fellas like that. Next thing you know, he's sort of eating out of my hand and believing most things I say, and he'll go to her and say, yeah, Mark said such and such, and she say, I've been saying the same thing for 20 years. The difference is he respects me, and he's never respected you. And that's not mainly his issue, that's mainly your issue. You didn't pick him to listen to you and respect you. You picked him so that you'd listen to him and respect him. You know, in my work I sometimes get doubting, defensive, arrogant, know-it-all, unteachable, victim-y people in my office, and they're supposedly presenting themselves for counsel. But that's really not why they're there. They're usually there to sabotage the therapy of their spouse. It probably makes up about 20% of my caseload. Again, defensive, doubting of therapy, arrogant, reactive, know-it-all, unteachable, victim-y people. Most of these folks have other agendas than changing themselves or learning something new. They certainly do not respect the counseling profession, and they might have been to several really bad counselors, so I can't say that I really fault them for disrespecting therapy. Most marriage counseling is horrible, frankly, and very ineffectual, and they're trying to put a Band-Aid on a cancer. And it doesn't work, so you tend to think of counselors as pretty lightweight with their impact on the world. I'm usually able to reach almost half of these defensive people and whip them into believing, open-minded, humble, non-reactive, teachable, proactive clients who greatly respect and almost revere me and my message. This is not achieved without forceful words, logical arguments, tension in the air, conflict, awkward moments, and the flexing of my personal, my powerful personality. I, as non-reactively as I can, sometimes I might get a little reactive, punch bullies in their nose, and over time turn them into teddy bears, or I get to, rub their soft underbelly. I don't really rub their underbelly. Psychologically, they come in and they're just sweethearts. I was working with a woman today who was just marveling at how enthusiastic her husband has been responding. He's been transformed into a teachable man, capable of hearing lots of critical feedback. And she said that her husband has never listened to, trusted, or took counsel from anybody. But it's my job to teach such people who are hard to reach. The other 50%, however, I don't have a lot of luck with. That turns out to be a disaster. In Proverbs chapter 9, verses 7 through 9, the Bible reads, "He who corrects a scoffer gets dishonor for himself, and he who reproves a wicked man gets insults for himself. Do not reprove a scoffer, or he's going to hate you. Reprove a wise man, and he'll love you. Give instruction to the wise man, and he will be still wiser still. Teach a righteous man, and he will increase in his learning." So unfortunately, the job of a therapist, if you do it well, to me it's all about truth, and it's about communicating that truth with articulation and courage and strength and getting heard. So my job is to assess the truth of a situation, then communicate it as forcefully as need be to reach the people who are barely reachable. So my job is to deal with folks that their reaction to me then is to dishonor me and to be insulting and hateful, like a scoffer. And again, I define these folks as victim-y, arrogant, defensive, shame-based, and unteachable. And I have to say that I also not only get that kind of treatment from the unteachable, but I do get a lot of love, respect, praise, and gratitude from the vast majority of my clients who are teachable. So here's the thing. Do you want to be respected by your husband, by your wife, by your kids, by your boss? by your family of origin, by your employees. You're going to have to man up or woman up, as the case may be, and have your courage and your voice to be more powerful than your fear. If you are not being respected, it is your issue. You have work to do on yourself in harnessing your non-reactive anger, not cowering in the face of rage, and learning how to be powerful with words. If you married a scoffer, then you're getting healthier will not fix your marriage, but it will most certainly end it. That is the time, unfortunately, to engage that attorney to begin that warfare. I had someone come in and ask me many years ago what my success rate was. And in several kind words, I told him it was a really stupid question, because I deliver the same product to everybody who comes in. I'm gonna put my finger on what's true, and I'm gonna get you to choke it down, or I'm gonna chase you out of the building. And I really don't care which one it is. If you're not teachable, I'd rather you not be in the building anyway, because I really don't need your business. But people that are barely teachable because they haven't had their defenses pierced adequately are a joy to work with, because when the light bulb goes on that they're not a victim and that their spouse isn't the bad guy, and that their life is about themselves and that they can work on and fix themselves, and it's about healing their childhood wounds, it's just very freeing for them and very fun for me. Most often, codependents aren't married to world-class scoffers. They're married to thick-headed fellows who are strong and good-hearted fellows who would respect the codependent and hear them if you only had a voice. I thought of the Wizard of Oz. If I only had a brain or a heart, or whatever that song is. If you only had a voice. So busy yourself with your own recovery work, codependents, and get stronger, and go to group therapy every week. And read about your codependency, and read about shame and abandonment issues and counterdependency. And when your paradigm is altered by reading these blogs and by meeting with an old warrior sea captain, like somebody like myself, who can really help you. So come in and, we'll specifically break down your issues and apply some truth to your blind spots and get some of that fire in your belly. Respect that is hard fought for tastes really sweet indeed. So respect is not just placed upon the brilliant and the saintly and the elderly and the dignified. I thought of several other people when I began writing this. I thought of Muhammad Ali, as an elderly man. He's got Parkinson's, but he's highly respected all around the world. And of all the people on the planet, who was to light the Olympic torch? Muhammad Ali. But the man was a brawler, and he was a fighter, and he was confident, and he punched people in the nose. So I want to instill a paradigm in you that change comes through friction, change comes through conflict. There's sometimes a culture with codependency where, frankly, you're just too weak, and you're too nice, and you're too afraid, and you're too soft, and it's like nobody can raise their voice without you sort of wilting in fear. And it's okay to raise your voice. It's okay to have edge in your voice. It's okay to call a spade a spade. You're going to have to speak the counterdependence language, and being soft and sweet and passive ain't going to work. They pretty much understand baseball bats to the skull is what they understand, delivered non-reactively. So fight for your respect, set those boundaries with consequence so you can fix your relationship, because you cannot have a healthy relationship without mutual respect. So if you haven't joined our channel, we're having so many people join. We're almost up to 700. So join our channel, Family Tree Counseling. I'm really happy that we've had other counselors in the practice, Kathy Henry, Andy Holzman, Christy Aloso, and Javon Lockhart, making excellent videos. So check them out. Also, there are my books on shame and abandonment, and on affair recovery, and on counterdependency on our website, familytreecounseling.com. So get that fire in the belly, set those boundaries, and command respect, and be dignified.